Good afternoon, students. In today's lecture, we are going to learn about the nutritional requirements of in vitro cultures. That is, what are the different chemicals used for preparation of tissue culture media. Start with first, what's in tissue culture medium? Okay, why it is required or why it is used for growing the plants artificially. So usually excise plant tissues and organs, they only grow in vitro on a suitable artificially prepared nutrient medium, which is known as a culture medium. Media used in tissue culture almost contains all the nutritional components like inorganic, organic salts, vitamins, and amino acids, gelling agent, and also various kinds of plant growth regulators. These are generally essential for the growth and development of cultured tissue. The success of any tissue culture protocol mainly depends on the type of culture media used for developing the protocol. If we peep up into the history of development of tissue culture media, so mainly tissue culture media was developed by various scientists, but amongst all those scientists, Murashige and Skoog, who developed the complete specification or complete component list of MS media in 1962, was the universal famous nutrient medium. After MS, there is also one more media called as SH media, Schenck and Heber-Liden media, and Gamborg's B5 media. These three medias are very successful in the development of plant tissue culture protocols. Amongst all these medias, Murashige and Skoog is universally accepted media and was formulated by analyzing the inorganic components in tobacco plants and then adding them to the medium in amount similar to those found in the plants. So this is the tree diagram showing what are the different components to be added in the tissue culture media. So there are three major components. First component is inorganic and carbon component nutrient sources such as macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are generally added greater than 0.5 millimolar per liter, while micronutrients are added uh, in the media in the concentration range of 0.05 millimolar per liter. So in macronutrients, there are N, P, K. These are the primary nutrients. Calcium, magnesium, sulfur. These are the secondary nutrients. While in micronutrients, ferrous, manganese, zinc, boron, copper, molybdenum, and cobalt. These are the micronutrients. In organic supplements, we can add vitamins and amino acids. In growth regulators, we have major three hormones: auxin, cytokinins, and gibberellic acids. The first and foremost major component of plant tissue culture media is water. Water as a solvent. The water used for tissue culture media should be glass distilled or double distilled water. It can be filtered through using millipore system or can be purified using glass distillation unit, double distilled glass water. Then there are pre-packaged minerals are also available nowadays, which can be directly added into the media. So these are the essential elements required to be added in the plant tissue culture media, being macronutrients and micronutrients as discussed earlier in the slide. In major nutrients or macronutrients, nitrogen, calcium, magnesium, potassium, phosphorus and sulfur are added, mainly in the form of their ions, either negative ions, anions or cations. Nitrate, generally nitrogen is added in the form of nitrate or ammonia form uh, by using the chemicals like potassium nitrate, ammonium nitrate, calcium nitrate, etc. Calcium is added alone. So as this chemical forms precipitation whenever added with other chemicals, that's why you have to prepare a different stock solution for calcium chloride. Then magnesium and potassium generally added in the form of sulfate or hypophosphate or a KCl. Then phosphorus is again added as a hypophosphate or phosphate. Uh, Sulfur is added as a sulfate group. These elements have both structural and functional roles in protein synthesis, nucleotide synthesis, cell wall synthesis, enzyme cofactor and membrane integrity. That's why these major elements are very much essential to be added in the tissue culture media. Then comes the minor or micronutrients, which are generally added in a very less concentration. In that, major element added is the iron along with EDTA. Due to solubility problem, it is supplemented in the tissue culture medium along with chelating agents such as sodium EDTA. EDTA helps ions to be available in the culture, as iron being very unstable element. Then ferrous and manganese are essential for photosynthesis. Molybdenum, zinc and copper are essential cofactors for many enzymes and essential for lignin biosynthesis. Then comes carbon source or energy source. So it is generally added in the form of sugar, sucrose, fructose, maltose, glucose, raffinose or other sugars. Whenever we autoclave the media, generally sucrose gets converted into fructose and glucose. And if we are using only fructose as a starting carbon energy source, then use of autoclaved fructose is not recommended, as it could be detrimental to the growth of tissues. And also there is a problem of charring. Typically, the concentration of all these carbon sources or sugars is in between 20 to 40 grams per liter, and they generally create the proper osmotic potential within the cells. Why sucrose is most preferable carbon source for plant tissue culture is because sucrose is cheaper source of carbon. Sucrose is our general day sugar which we use daily in our life. A partial hydrolysis of sucrose occurs when media are autoclaved and form glucose and fructose. It acts as a good osmotic stabilizer. It is easily available. That's why majorly cane sugar or sucrose, table sugar, is mainly used in plant tissue culture as a carbon energy source. Then comes vitamins and other organic compounds. Majorly, we use thiamine as a major vitamin in the tissue culture. Why? Because it is essential for carbohydrate metabolism. We can also use vitamin C as an antioxidant. It prevents the coloration of explant. Black coloration or phenolic exudation can be stopped by using the vitamin C. We can also occasionally use yeast extract, which is also the source of many vitamin B complexes, rarely used in tissue culture but majorly used in microbiology media preparation. We also use myo-inositol, which works for membrane stabilization. It's actually sugar alcohol, and it is very much important for membrane stabilization of actively dividing cells in the tissue culture. Other organic compounds such as coconut milk, which is a very rich source of plant growth regulators like kinetin and zeatin, is also added in the tissue culture media. Casein hydrolysate or peptone, which is rich source of various amino acids, can be also used or added in the tissue culture media. We can also add polyamines for somatic embryogenesis and root formation process. Activated charcoal, PPVP, ascorbic and citric acids can be also added as an purification agent or antioxidants in the media. Why we have to use activated charcoal powder tissue culture media is mainly because it is irreversible. It's irreversible adsorption of inhibitory compounds in the culture media. For example, your explant secretes many phenolic compounds or brown exudates as the cut portion is embedded within the agar. So these phenolic compounds or brown compounds, they form a layer or black layer between explant and media, which causes explant is unable to absorb all the nutrients from the agar. So to prevent all this, whenever you add activated charcoal in the media, activated charcoal will adsorb all these impurities and make your explant grow vigorously in the culture media. Then comes plant hormones, or they are also called as plant growth regulators. Hormones are naturally occurring organic substances that at low concentrations exerts profound influence on physiological processes. Mainly in animals, they are synthesized in discrete organs or tissues or glands, endocrine glands, transported in the bloodstream to a specific tissue and control the physiological response in concentration dependent manner. But in plants, these hormones are generally secreted by the shoots and roots organs, mainly in the shoots. So they needs to be carried through vascular system like xylem and phloem, and they are reached to each and every part of the plant where they are required. For example, auxin is the hormone which controls the formation of root in the plants. Cytokinin promotes the shoot development. Gibberellic acid is used for cell enlargement, cell elongation. Abscisic acid is used as a plant stress hormone. And ethylene is actually a ripening hormone, but bad for tissue culture. We don't use ethylene as much in tissue culture. So these are the few structures of famous or the predominantly used plant growth regulators in the tissue culture, like auxin. All they have contains the benzene ring in their structure, like auxin, cytokinin, gibberellic acid, abscisic acid, ethylene. New classes of growth hormones are also discovered, like brasinosteroids, salicylates, trigalactones, or jasmonids. These are the new classes of plant growth regulators, and they are synthesized artificially. Now, when we go for auxins, usually some auxins are naturally found, some auxins we have to prepare synthetically. So in majorly IAA, indole acetic acid, IBA, indole butyric acid, these are the naturally occurring auxins, while naphthalic acetic acid, 2,4-D, 2,4,5-T and pictoram, all these are the synthetically prepared or artificially prepared growth hormones. Commonly auxins promotes the root growth or root promotion in the plants. There few other auxins examples were also given, and their full forms are also given, like 2,4-D, 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid, 2,4,5-T, 2,4,5-trichlorophenoxyacetic acid, dicampa, 2-methoxy-3,6-dichlorobenzoic acid, IBA, you know that indole 3-acetic acid, indole butyric acid, MCPA, methyl chlorophenoxyacetic acid, naphthalic acetic acid, then naphthalene oxyacetic acid, and picloram, 4-amino 2,5,4, 2,5,6 trichloropicolinic acid. So all these are the different auxins used in tissue culture media. Order of effectiveness in callus formation, rooting of cuttings, and induction of adventitious embryogenesis. Their role in the tissue culture is mainly 2,4-D is used for callus induction, then rooting of cuttings is also initiated by addition of IA, IBA or NA, and in some cases there is induction of adventive embryogenesis. If you want to develop direct embryos from callus, you can add 2,4-D into the callus and you can see development of adventive embryos within a callus. Auxins, they are absolutely essential. One compound, indole 3-acetic acid, many synthetic analogs are there nowadays, Na, IBA, 2,4-D, 2,4,5-T, picloram, cheaper and more stable, generally growth stimulatory, promotes rooting, stimulates the cell elongation, increase the rate of transcription, mediate the response of bending in response to gravity or light, produced in meristems, especially in shoot meristem, and transported through the plant, through the xylem and phloem in the plant in spatial cells in the vascular bundles. Now comes the cytokinin. These are the hormones which mainly promotes the shoot formation. So major 4 hormones are there. BAP or BA, 2IP, kinetin, zeatin. BAP is a 6-benzyl aminopurine chemical structure. 2IP is a 2-isopentenyl adenine. Kinetin is 6-furfuryl aminopurine. Thidiazuron is 1-phenyl-3 thidiazurol 5-vial urea. Zeatin is 4-hydroxy-3-methyl trans 2-butyryl aminopurine. So remembering the name, chemical names is a bit confusing and also difficult. So you can also write in exam like the short forms of these hormones. But in MCQ, you may be asked to write down or you may be asked to identify the exact chemical name of the short form of these chemicals, auxins and cytokines, growth hormones. Cytokinins are also again absolutely essential. Natural compounds are zeatin 2-isopentenyl, naturally found in the environment, while synthetic analogues are benzyladenine and kinetin. This stimulates the cell division along with the auxin growth hormones, promotes the formation of adventitious shoots, stimulates cell division, stimulate dark germination, stimulate leaf expansion, produced in the root meristem and transported throughout the plant as a zeatin riboside in the phloem tissue. Now, how auxin and cytokinin ratio has the effect on plant growth development or plant growth in the tissue culture media? Majorly, whenever you add auxin and cytokinin in an equal amount, intermediate ratio A is to C, then callus formation can be seen. When you use low auxin and high cytokinin ratio, you typically observe the growth of shoots. As cytokinin is higher in concentration, it will lead to shoot formation. When you add high auxin and low cytokinin, then you will observe the root formation. So this is how we can decide what kind of growth we want in the tissue culture by adjusting the ratio of auxin and cytokinin in the tissue culture media. Gibberellic acids are occasionally used in tissue culture media, which is available more than in 60 forms. GA4 and GA7 are most commonly used. Gibberellic acid is not frequently used in general culture media. However, it promotes the stem elongation, bulb and corm formation, and embryo maturation, but can inhibit the callus growth and root induction. That's why it is not majorly used in tissue culture media, only used during the somatic embryogenesis and other kinds of experiments. Abscisic acid, ABA, it's a stress hormone. In tissue culture, it inhibits the shoot growth and germination of embryos, but is helpful in the embryo culture. Only in single culture, it is used as an embryo promoting agent. Ethylene, it is undesirable in tissue culture as it is a ripening hormone. So in tissue culture, we don't use ethylene. Then brassinosteroids are the new class of hormones. They are the steroid hormones with chemical structure similar to the steroid hormones in animals. Elicit an array of developmental responses, increase the length of stem and pollen tube. Generally, it is helpful for elongation of stem and pollen tube. Leaf morphogenesis, inhibition of root elongation, and for vascular differentiation, formation of xylem and phloem. Some other growth regulating substances are also there, like ankimidol. It's a growth retardant cytokinin effect in the tissue culture. It has been found to shorten the shoots and induce the buds in some culture. Paclobutazole is also useful as an addition to the stage 3 media to help minimize the need of acclimatization. During the hardening, it can be added as a stabilizing agent. And Taiba, an antioxin, inhibits the auxin movement and may be growth promoting in the culture. Now, plant growth regulators are generally used in very less concentration, in picomolar or micromolar concentration. And many can be autoclaved, especially synthetic, but others degrade with the heat and should be filter sterilized. So they are heat labile compounds. That means after exposed to heat, they will get degraded. That's why we need to use filter sterilization technique for sterilizing these kinds of heat labile plant growth regulators. Most have interactions with each other, can cause a multitude effect. That's why we need to be very cautious while using these growth regulators. Can be prepared in water, KOH, ethanol or DMSO. So majority of they are soluble in water, but for initial dissolution we have to use hydroxide form or ethanol or acid form for dissolving them in a initially. Physical support agents or support elements added in the tissue culture media for as an stratum, providing stratum to the explant. They are called as support agents. So gelling agents. When semi-solid or solid culture media are required, gelling agents are used. For example, agarose, gelrite and phytagel. These are added in the media to make the media in a semi-solid state or gel state. They also provide structural support. Whenever you want to embed any explant or plant part into the media, they need support kind of system where the explant can go and get plugged or get embedded. So this support system is being provided by gelling agents. In some cases, we can also use filter paper bridges or liquid permeable membrane support systems, but in majority of cases, agar-agar is the one which is used as a gelling agent. Agar-agar is solidifying agent, phyto-agar, mainly purified from seaweed, and it lacks most impurities, has a melting point of about 65 degrees Celsius and gelling point between 40 to 50 degrees Celsius. Purified fraction of agarose is purified fraction of agar. Agarose is extracted from agar leaving behind the agropectin and typically has low melting and gelling points. It is more expensive and mainly used for the protoplast isolation and culturing. Advantage of using agar in the tissue culture media is agar is inert component, forms a gel in water that melt at 100 degrees Celsius and solidify nearly at 45 degrees Celsius. Concentrations commonly used in tissue culture media range from 0.5 to 1%. If necessary, agar can be washed to remove the inhibitory organic and inorganic impurities. Gels are not digested by plant enzymes. Agar does not. So these are the few points of agar, using agar. Second form we can use is agarose, which is generally obtained from hydrolyzing the agar, mainly used for protoplast culture. Then comes the gelride. Gelride consists of polysaccharide produced from the bacteria Pseudomonas elodea, and it forms clear gel. One can see through that gel and can observe the development of roots. So that's why it is quite expensive than the agar and agarose. It gives clear solidified media that leads to detection of contamination at an early stage. That's why gelride is used and requires more stirring than the agar. Concentration generally used in the media is 4 to 8 millimolar per liter. Then phytagel is again another kind of gelling agent. It is an agar substitute produced from bacterial substrate composed of glucouronic acid, rhamnose and glucose. It produces a clear, colorless and high strength gel which aids in the detection of microbial contamination. Can be used in the concentration ranging from 1.5 to 2.5 grams per liter. Should be prepared with rapid stirring to prevent the clumping. Another component added in the tissue culture media is antibiotics. Antibiotics, they are generally added to control the contamination or to avoid the contamination, bacterial contamination. They are not used routinely against the contaminants in the micropropagation because often they are ineffective, kill the culture or induce the chromosomal instability, mutation in the culture. However, some have been useful on the occasion like cefotaxime, carbencillin and ampicillin. But majorly we avoid antibiotics adding into the tissue culture media just because their mutational effect on the explant. Now how media can be prepared in the tissue culture lab? So for the preparation of 1 liter media, generally we require 750 ml of double distilled water and desired amount of sucrose, generally 20 to 30 grams per liter. The stock solutions of macro and micro salts are generally prepared in the 10x and 100x concentration. Vitamin stocks are being prepared in the 100x concentration. 100x means 100 times stronger. For example, if in a working media I require 1 gram of vitamin, then I will prepare a stock which is actually 100 gram in 100 ml. But actually I require only 1 gram in a working solution. So that's the strength of all these stock solutions. Macro salts being added 10 times extra in the stock solution for macro salt. Then in micro salt solution they are added 100 times greater. In vitamins 100 times greater. EDTA again it is a 100x stock solution, and hormones generally are prepared at the concentration of 1 milligram per ml. So these are the stock solutions, but while actually preparing the media, we need to only take 1x or 1/10 part from macro salt solution, 1/100th part from micro salt solution, 1/100th part from vitamin solution, and 1/100th part from iron solution. And hormones are generally added 2 milligram, 4 milligram or 6 milligram per liter. That means 6 milligram or 6 ml, 2 ml or 4 ml as per required in the media. So whenever you add all these components in the water along with vitamins, minerals, hormones, then you get a solution which is then filtered, either filtered or you have to stir it properly so that all the components will dissolve within it, and final volume was made to 1 liter with by adding the extra double distilled water. We have to adjust the pH of the medium at 5.6 to 5.8 with the help of 0.1 normal HCl or 0.1 normal KOH. Then you have to add solidifying agent, agar-agar or Gelrite or Phytagel, and then we need to heat the media little bit up to 80 to 65 degrees Celsius so that agar will melt and it will go into the solution. And then this media is generally distributed in jars or test tubes, and finally all these tubes or bottles are sterilized by autoclaving or in the autoclave, by steam sterilization or wet heat sterilization. So this is the protocol. Add the macronutrient solution to the desired amount of distilled water, stir well. All the stock solutions are mixed. Then add the other components like hormone, sucrose, agar powder into the same flask. Measure the pH at 5.6 to 5.8 with the help of NaOH or HCl. In case solid medium, add agar in the medium and heat the solution to dissolve the agar properly. Dispense the media into different culture vessels, plug them or cap them with a proper closing lid or a cotton wool. Autoclave this media at 121 degrees Celsius under the pressure of 15 psi, and then allow the media to cool down at room temperature, and then store that media for observing the contamination. So pH, why we need to adjust the pH of media between 5.6 to 5.8 is to ensure the proper jellification or solidification of the media. If your pH goes down the 5.6 or above the 5.8, then there will be no proper solidification occur in the tissue culture media. So that's why maintaining the pH is very much important for proper solidification of tissue culture media. Commercial media formulations nowadays used are Murashige and Scoop, Linsmeyer and Scoop, White medium, Gambor media, Schinck and Haberland media, SH media, Niche and Niche media, Lloyd and McCown woody plant medium, and Knudsen medium. Media is generally autoclaved or steam sterilized using these kinds of autoclave, vertical or horizontal kind of autoclave, in which the temperature condition is 121 degrees Celsius or 250 Fahrenheit, and pressure maintained is 15 lbs. Generally, media is held at these two conditions for about 15 to 20 minutes, so as to ensure the complete sterilization of tissue culture media. Some heat labile chemicals can be added by filter sterilization. For example, growth hormones, some vitamins, amino acids are heat sensitive, so they can be filtered through filters, not HEPA filters, some nylon 66 or membrane filters, and then they have the pore size of 0.2 micromolar, so that all the microorganisms can be filtered properly using these kinds of filters, and then they can be added into the media after autoclave whenever the media is about to get solidified. So this is the process of filter sterilization, where in the syringe you first have to suck up the solution. Then you at the front of the syringe you need to fix the this kind of membrane filter, syringe filter, and then you have to press the piston, and whatever liquid comes out from this filter will be completely sterilized, as it this disc contains the membrane filter. It will remove all the particles which are greater than 0.2 micron. And then the sterilized solution can be collected in a sterile beaker, which is autoclave. So you can close this using the aluminium foil, and you can preserve this in the refrigerator. Whenever you need it back, you can take this flask into laminar airflow, open it in only in the aseptic conditions, and do the additions. So this is the these are the few culture bottles, culture test tubes which were autoclaved, jars and petri dishes. Whenever your media is being autoclaved, completely sterilized, you can use these bottles or tubes for culturing the explant in a laminar airflow. Generally, whatever media you prepare, it needs to be kept for at least 2 days to observe the contamination, whether your autoclave cycle or sterilization cycle is effective or not. So generally it is stored in the cold rooms for long-term storage. Need to be careful about condensation of water and contamination, usually about 4 degrees Celsius and in the darkness, important for some PGRs. Room temperature in the dark should be wrapped in or in plastic bag to prevent the desiccation, good for assessing the contamination of media before inoculation. So generally after autoclaving, it is stored for 2 days. If there is no contamination seen, that means your sterilization is properly done, and you can use these bottles or tubes for inoculation, or putting the explant into the tube after surface sterilization and growing these bottles in the incubation area. So this is all about media preparation.